Welcome everybody, I'm Jeff Barton and I'm your host for the Las Vegas Real Estate Show. We're on each and every week and thank you for tuning in. We try to bring to you some education as to what affects real estate prices, and the buyers and sellers of real estate here in the Valley. Many things affect those particular things. And I just want to bring that up like that because this year is an election year. Now, why is that different from other years? Because the people that we vote for and the people that we elect locally as well as to national office affect real estate policy and the way that land and if we're talking about rentals, we're talking about the different Airbnb, all the different real estate aspects of what happens here in Las Vegas City as well as the valley surrounding it. I don't know if anyone realizes, but a lot of cities around the country are outlawing Airbnb or outlawing certain aspects of what real estate can and cannot do. So how does that affect your real estate? How does it affect the way you buy and sell property? Let's say you want to buy a piece of property because you're looking at a rental income. So how is your rental income going to be affected if you can't short-term rental it? That you can only do like leases 6 months or more. These are some of the things that are important about real estate. Why in an election year it's incredibly important that you get educated as to who does what when it comes to how you're going to be regulated here in the Valley. For instance, on a national scale, we have Section 8 housing. Everybody knows what that is, but a lot of people don't realize there's not a lot of it here in Las Vegas. There used to be, but there isn't a lot now. What is Section 8 housing? It's federally subsidized housing for low-income people. Now, we also have down payment assistance programs here in the city of Las Vegas and in the state of Nevada. Now, what are those? For people who need assistance in order to buy a house, the state has a program by which you can get down payment assistance. You can get help at paying the down payment. So if in fact you need a 3.5% down payment on an FHA loan, you might be able to get 3% of that 3.5% paid by the state. How do you qualify for that? Will these programs be around? Each and every year, that particular program runs out of money because it's only budgeted for a certain amount. We are at that threshold right now. So if you're looking for down payment assistance from the state's program, right now you can't get it because there's no budget money. So who controls that budget money are the people that you're going to be electing right now this year in the fall. If you hadn't been paying attention, we had a recent election, and the recent election results have a lot of the same familiar faces that you've heard or seen over the last decade or so in politics. One of the persons who was in a local election who lost will be on the show today, Steve Schiffman, who is able to give us some perspective both on his particular race, which I think is fascinating because anybody who jumps into politics at a local level really has their feet and their boots on the ground, really knows what's going on, and also a perspective as to the candidates he ran against and give us his perspective as to both what they may be thinking on in terms of real estate. We were talking off air briefly and it was amusing, so I look forward to having him on the show in today's guest. I'm Jeff Barton, of course, and I'm here each and every week. And as I said, we do try to educate you as to what's going on locally. All real estate is local, as it's been often said, as is politics. So if you're out there and you're watching the show, stay tuned. We'll try to get to some local issues that will affect you and your real estate purchases and selling here in Las Vegas. I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your host for the Las Vegas Real Estate Show, and we'll be right back.
Are you experiencing hair loss? We have the solution with no drugs, no surgery, and no side effects. Experience 100% pain-free results with SuperGrow Laser Cap System, featuring 272 professional-grade lasers that make your hair thicker and fuller naturally. Use it 15 minutes a day, 3 times a week, and notice your hair growth in as little as 3 months. Visit online at irevivelaser.com to order your SuperGrow Laser Cap today and experience unbelievable results. irevivelaser.com.
Want to know how to create more business and save money? Simple. The answer is video. Video shares are the fastest growing form of word-of-mouth advertising, and according to InternetRetailer.com, visitors who viewed a business video were 85% more likely to buy after watching it. People today are on the go. They don't have time to read text, but they have 1 minute to watch video. At HD Video King, we not only create quality video that's right for you, we coach you on how to get the most from it. Call today. Our award-winning staff are ready to assist.
Successful Strategies International offers state-of-the-art PMP certification and an entire curriculum of project management, risk management, portfolio and program management by using unique learning techniques such as online learning, simulations, and facilitator lead programs. Our clientele consists of some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in existence. SSI has trainers all across North America, Europe, and Asia to help meet your project management needs. Learn more at ssi-learn.com. That's ssi-learn.com.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, and I'm your host for the Las Vegas Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in. We're on each and every week, and we bring to you some opinions and some information that can affect your decisions of whether you're going to buy or sell real estate. As everybody knows, many things affect real estate. Many things affect pricing, and more importantly, your decision of what to do and where to live is really affected by the people that you elect to public office, both here and in Washington. We have had a terrific election, and recently those people that have gone on and are going to go into the general election in the fall are all excited and happy. But those of the candidates, excuse me, I'm sorry, Steve.
The losers, the losers.
Anyway, yeah, Steve Schiffman is with me, and I really appreciate him coming back to the show. He ran in the 3rd Congressional District against the eventual winner, and I want to talk to you. First of all, Steve, how are you?
All right, I am now liberated from the political theater right now. That's why I'm more casual aware.
Well, let me ask you a question. You get into it. You
Yes.
know you're not going to win, right? I mean,
Wrong,
it's just,
wrong.
come on. I mean, okay, let's say that you thought you had a shot at it, but the likelihood was probably because you didn't have the money that Rosen had, or Tarkanian, who was on the Republican side, of course, in your...
Susie Lee.
Was it Susie Lee?
It was Susie Lee.
Rosen is the
Rosen's representative. And it turns out you're right partially because I ran in 2016 when it was
Right.
Jackie Rosen, excuse me, and in 2018 it was multimillionaire Susie Lee and her husband.
Right. The Susie Lee thing is interesting because, as we were talking off air, she has her own real estate holdings and
Her family.
Her family does,
Her
right.
father, excuse me, her husband, they own 16 homes. They have a private airplane. He's also in the gaming industry. He's the CEO of some casinos around the country. So they're involved in that. Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about your experience, obviously not a level playing field, and you're talking about both exposure and your ability to be able to, confront people and issues.
Well, that was actually, to be more blunt, people like Harry Reid and Pelosi, and they pulled the strings, and they got her elected.
So when that happens, we're now in the general election, and she's running against
Danny, what's his name?
Tarkanian.
For about the nth amount of time.
Right, and he's been running for public office for many, many years.
Correct.
And he's trading on the famous dad he has, Coach Tarkanian. Tell us something about what your perspective is on that particular race. In that, what we're trying to do, obviously, is understand what their positions are. You ran against
Susie Lee and several others.
Right, exactly. So, based on that experience, what do you think is happening in terms of both real estate, the ideas of real estate? You were talking off here is that they really weren't running an issue-based campaign.
Primarily, that's the case as far as people in District 3 are concerned.
Right.
Sure. On the Republican side, it is the same rhetoric, either being for Trump, supporting Trump, protecting the Constitution, things of that sort. The Freedom Caucus, a very extremely conservative. On the Democratic side, in our race, was predominantly those on the Bernie Sanders left, and then you had the anti-establishment, myself, and then you had Susie Lee, which represented the mainstream or the big money, including labor unions and political endorsements that Harry Reid got in Washington. But it seems to me that the issues that were brought up, at least when we were campaigning, were pretty much focused on the same stereotype of minimum wage, gay rights, human rights. These are not saying they're unimportant, but some people, it's not bread and butter issues, I don't think, for most people.
Well, earlier in the show, when we were talking in a previous segment, I was talking about just local issues, with Airbnb or whether it's the local ability to get a loan through state-sponsored.
But it has nothing to
down
do with
payment
Congress.
systems. No, but in some respects it does. If it's a HUD program, for instance, it does have to do with Congress has oversight over HUD and has the ability to, purse strings and the ability to watch the budget for HUD.
That's
and
right.
so, not directly, you're right, but tangentially, it does have an interest.
Well, let me
And
tell you
there's-
this. If you watch some of the advertising for Jackie Rosen running for Senate, all right, against Dean Heller,
Right.
she is running a campaign as being more conservative. She's saying, wasted money in Washington, I'm not part of the aisle and things of that sort. So this is not the time to talk about spending money. It's just the opposite. As a matter of fact, one of the big issues was that the Democratic nominee for governor is having advertising against him saying he spends money, he raises taxes. People in Nevada are cheap. They don't want to spend money.
Why do you think that the national politics takes over when really so much of what we do here in Las Vegas is locally controlled and locally, I guess?
Because the money comes from out of state.
Right.
That's in a nutshell. Most of the donations the big bucks come from out of state because they want to see this as a situation which would be indicative of national trends. And so if you listen to some of the talk radio shows, Nevada is considered a red or purple state, depends on
Right.
where you are.
That's right.
But there's likelihood that, I'll give you an example. On the Republican side, for running for Congress, there's one, a Republican, but there are like 5 independents, Libertarian, American Independent Party, and 1 Democratic candidate. So what's going to happen perhaps is they're going to divide or split the vote on the conservative side, and the Democrat may win. That's what happened the last couple of times. So
Where,
you
in
find
District 3? What
District
place?
3,
Yes.
in which a majority of the votes were Republican or anti-Democrat, but Rosen won by less than 1% because her opposition had their votes divided by 4 candidates.
Now, to me,
Mind-boggling, isn't it?
no, but it's just, it bothers me because I think there's so many things that a national office holder could do for the state.
They could. You mentioned Section 8, for example.
Right.
New York, which I'm familiar with as well, that list has been closed for over 10 years.
Right.
It's because money is not available. If you have it, you already have it and you can use it. If you want to apply for it, they'll say, I'm sorry, we're not taking any applications for it. And that's nationally. Unfortunately, people's attitudes has shifted towards public housing and things of that sort. We had a discussion here before about how they want to introduce bonds for public housing here. But if you're going to rent or make available rents at $800, $900 a month, that's not exactly cheap.
Right.
We're talking about if you go to, in California, New York, we have both they would call price control or rent control and rent stability. You can go into an apartment if you're old enough for many years of paying, let's say, $500. Well, the market rate may be $3,000. I'm sure you have that in California as well.
Well, some, but not a lot.
But people
There
don't
is
move
some.
out.
It's pre-war stuff, really.
That's right. Or pre-World War II. Keep
That's
that in
right.
mind.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, we're old enough to know what pre-war means. It's
that's
pre-World War II, right? It's
Right,
not pre.
and people inherit those things, those apartments. So if you have children, they can stay there and it runs, but they can't move out. Otherwise, fair markets or stability rates come into play.
Let's talk a little bit about the governor's race.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the candidates, a little bit about where they might stand on some local issues here, like water issues or fire prevention, anything that would affect state budgets, anything that might.
Well, Laxalt is running ads claiming that the Democratic opposition spends taxes, raises taxes over and over and over again, fees. And they do. Nevada has a lot of fee increases. They pass it on, for example, on the stadium. They're putting a room tax on the tourists. As you would agree, probably Nevada says, let the tourists pay for nearly everything.
Let me
in the
ask you a
state.
question.
Yeah.
Do you think that, and this is to the heart of the taxation issue,
Yeah.
do you think there'll come a time when taxation becomes an issue for people visiting Las Vegas when they have other venues around the country where they can
I would think
sports
so.
gamble?
I would say the hell with it. You can do many things, but ask yourself, who's the profile visitor here? Is it the gambler Is it somebody who comes for vacation? Is a foreigner,
Right,
a foreign
that's right.
tourist? It varies. But I can tell you when they had the slump, several years ago, the real estate slump, Las Vegas almost came to a standstill. No money in education, no money in infrastructure. That's why you had flooding on pipes, things of that sort. Because they relied too much either on people moving in or private companies to do it. Everything's outsourced here. To answer your question, perhaps there's a reason why the city is spending or guaranteed millions and millions of dollars in the new stadium that the Raiders are moving into. To me, it's obscene that education, which is ranked 50th, should get the money. Now, look at this point. Marijuana, right? They voted to legalize recreational marijuana here, all right, with certain limitations.
I got to stop you.
Okay.
Next time, we're going to have you on soon because this ongoing political discussion really affects how people view Las Vegas and where's the money going to come for schools, for instance, which directly affects real estate prices.
Exactly.
Thanks very much, Steve.
Okay.
And I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your host for the Las Vegas Real Estate Show, and we'll be right back.
Successful Strategies International offers state-of-the-art PMP certification and an entire curriculum of project management, risk management, portfolio and program management by using unique learning techniques such as online learning, simulations, and facilitator lead programs. Our clientele consists of some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in existence. SSI has trainers all across North America, Europe, and Asia to help meet your project management needs. Learn more at ssi-learn.com. That's ssi-learn.com.
Ruthless Cowboys, keeping the American dream alive and creating jobs one t-shirt at a time. From fabric to design, Ruthless Cowboys makes 100% American-made apparel that hardworking Americans are proud to wear. At RuthlessCowboys.com, you can shop for shirts and accessories for the cowboy or cowgirl in your life. Head to RuthlessCowboys.com, check us out on Facebook and Instagram by searching Ruthless Cowboys. Ruthless Cowboys, we're all about family, country, and keeping it all American. RuthlessCowboys.com.
Want to know how to create more business and save money? Simple. The answer is video. Video shares are the fastest growing form of word-of-mouth advertising, and according to InternetRetailer.com, visitors who viewed a business video were 85% more likely to buy after watching it. People today are on the go. They don't have time to read text, but they have 1 minute to watch video. At HD Video King, we not only create quality video that's right for you, we coach you on how to get the most from it. Call today. Our award-winning staff are ready to assist.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your host for the Las Vegas Real Estate Show, and we're on each and every week, and thank you very much for watching. We spend a half hour each week talking about what goes on in the Valley in terms of how it affects real estate, your decisions, whether you're going to buy, whether you're going to sell, if there's an opportunity to buy or sell. Maybe you want to take some money out of your house currently because there's been so much equity built up and you want to go and get an investment property. There are a lot of different avenues by which you can do that, and certainly on this show we try to bring people to the show to be able to help you decide what to do and how to do it. With me today on the panel, once again, and I really appreciate them both coming on, is Steve Schiffman. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
I'm great. Thank you very much. And Alexis Young, real estate agent from Keller Williams.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you very much. So, off air, we're talking about bankruptcy. We're talking about the people who can't afford to get a loan. Because,
And foreclosures. Those
right.
are foreclosures.
Okay, so over the past, I don't know, since 2008, that's 10 years ago, right? Since the bottom of the market. Since we probably had 35 to 40% failure in the market out here. Well, we don't have that now.
Right.
What happened to that inventory? That's a different story. But what happened to those borrowers was your question.
Right. Or, for example, if you had a short sale, even recently as 2 or 3 years ago, even though so technically they didn't go into default or eviction, whatever you want to call it, they still know. And so the question is, can people who've had problems, can they buy homes today easily?
Well, there are quite a few lenders out there that have special programs available. You do have to fall within the DTI and everything, but they do have some available. I have mixed feelings about it, and I won't say who it is, obviously, because that
No, please, go ahead. It doesn't matter.
Conflict of interest. No, it's okay.
No, if you can't afford it 5 years ago and you bailed out, what would prevent you from doing so again?
Well, nothing.
So therefore, would you want to loan money to a company or a person like that?
Well, not you. But there are plenty of lenders out there who will look at a situation, look at the recent history of a particular borrower, look at their credit score, look at what the money into the deal. For instance, if you have 25-30% into the deal, you can get a loan, because anybody's going to say, well, no one's going to walk away from 30% in a home. It's just not going to do it. So therefore, it just becomes a matter of what's your credit score, what's your debt-to-income ratio, how much money are you making, what are your assets, and these are the kind of calculations that go into what they call non-QM loans. And in the shows that we've done here in Las Vegas and on the radio show back in California, we talked to many lenders who are in what they call the non-QM space. QM space meaning simply that they're purchased by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or Ginnie Mae with the FHA loans. But non-QM simply means that those companies that are doing those type of loans can't sell to those government agencies or the GSEs. So who do they sell to? They sell to sovereign funds, they sell to banks. They keep the loans and service them themselves. There's definitely, I would say right now in Las Vegas, 30 to 40% of the market that is being done like that, 20 to 25% of the market that is all cash. So most of the loans out here are not conventional 30-year fixed sell to Fannie and Freddie loans.
So what's the profile of a person who fits into buying like that?
What's the profile?
Of the person. I mean, does he have a
Could be
job? Does he have
anybody.
income?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody has to, you always have to have an ability to repay. That's what they call the ability to repay rule. And this is part of what Dodd-Frank was all about when they passed the SAFE Act. If you can't prove that you can repay the loan, you can't get a loan. So part of the process of approving someone for the loan is to go through the calculations of current employment or passive employment to make sure that the particular borrower can repay the loan.
And unfortunately, people tend to look at home prices not on what they can afford to buy, but on their monthly cost. And they say, oh, I can afford $1,000 or $1,500, not realizing that interest rates may go up, property tax may go up, interest rates may go up if it's a flexible or adjustable mortgage. How do you handle that? And that's the issue I think that Las Vegas is facing, that when you buy a home traditionally, you had a fixed conventional or VA or FHA 20-year mortgage or 30-year mortgage, and you planned on living there. You didn't buy it as an investment. And maybe that's the difference today. Do people buy for investments, or do they buy to live in their homes as a lifelong endeavor? What do you think?
I think there's a little bit of both. I've had people say, oh, this is just my first property, we're gonna live in it, it's a good investment for my family, and then I'm gonna cash out maybe in 5 to 10 years. In 5 to 10 years, a lot can happen, but they could also make a little bit of income and then sell, but who are we to know what's gonna happen in 5 to 10 years?
But doesn't that affect home prices? For example, I live in Canyon Fairways, and if you look on the assessor's office, you'll see perhaps maybe 20% of the people have resold or sold their homes. 80% of the original buyers. A good neighborhood, whether it's in Beverly Hills, in Coral Gables, Florida, is by stability. People who've been there for 20 years, 30 years, they like it. It's stable. They bought the home. They didn't say, I'm going to buy a home thinking in 5 years I'm going to sell. Because you destroy your neighborhood that way, don't you?
Well, I think there are different ways to look at how neighborhoods are today. Traditionally, you may be right in terms of when you were growing up, but it's not the way millennials buy homes. It's not the way that Gen Xers, Gen Y, they don't do that. They look at their home as, yes, a place to live, but not necessarily as a place they're going to be 30 years, because there is no employer that's going to say, I'll employ you. There is no IBM.
Right.
There's no, car company that's going to employ you on the line for 25, 30 years.
That's right.
$20 an hour. It just doesn't exist. So the whole mentality of what makes a neighborhood stable is changed. And so here in Las Vegas, where you have had a transient mentality, I think that's also changing, as we've talked about in previous shows.
Well, I also think now, especially with the investment boom, that a lot of people have purchased and they're renting their properties. So my neighborhood, I live in the Southwest, it's a new construction neighborhood, and we thought, oh, this is great, like we're gonna have great neighbors, but everybody is renting, and not saying all renters or tenants are bad, not saying that.
But they don't have a vested interest in the community.
But yeah, we don't know actually who everyone is, so that kind of makes us feel a little uneasy, you know. And so hopefully one day they're all going to move in and we'll have a permanent community.
Right.
But as of right now, everyone is renting, and I know a lot of millennials that have purchased, they rent a lot of their rooms out because that's the only way they can afford to make their
They're living beyond their
mortgage.
means. That's what it comes down to. They're living beyond their
But
means.
that's just not here in Las Vegas.
No, it's not.
It's
That's a
everywhere.
U.S. thing. I mean, if you can go and finance a car that you really can't afford, brand new every 3 years,
Right.
you do that. Why? Because you can make the monthly payment just like the
But
rent.
again, we're going back to stability of neighborhoods. And quality neighborhoods are stable for the reason that people aren't moving. They're staying there because they like it. Example, Summerlin, good area here, right? Why would people move from Summerlin? It's a nice area. Or if you live in Green Valley, you like it there. Why move? And so certain people of certain means can say, you know what, either my first home or second home, but they stay in the neighborhood. And they know that their children will be raised there. The schools are important. You have your roots coming in. And unfortunately, younger people may say, we're so mobile that today we're here, tomorrow we're down the street.
That's
we don't
true.
care.
I think that is true. I think that's the way the mentality is here in Las Vegas. But that's a national trend, maybe international trend.
Right,
That's just not...
but that also has a direct bearing on real estate prices because your higher price homes are in your stable neighborhoods
I don't
that
think
aren't
that's
flipped.
true.
Go to Beverly Hills. How many times do you see people buying and selling as opposed to
Okay.
living long
You
term?
mentioned Summerlin.
Yes.
What are the prices like in Summerlin?
You're seeing at least $350 and up. $350 is a really good deal, but average is around $450.
What was it 5 years ago?
You know what?
Well, I can tell, it depends when you're talking about Summerlin, because if you're going to the gate-guarded communities, such as Tournament Hills, Canyon Fairways,
Right.
8 years ago, a home that was worth $2 million is worth $1.3 million today.
Right, but that had
But
more
you know
to
what?
do with the...
But you know what?
5 years ago? No.
No, more than up to 7, 8 years ago.
Right.
But my point being is that people who own those homes did not sell them when they went down because they're their second or third homes. They have the money. They don't care if the value went down. They bought the house because they liked it. They built it because they want to live there. And the fact that the values go up and down does not make a difference to them because they moved there to live there. They're not worrying about is a home
But you
worth.
said it was a second or third home.
For some, yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the point is, if you're moving into Summerlin, you're moving there because you like it,
Right.
regardless of the price. So they're not worried about being stable. They just like the neighborhood, whether they live there permanently or whether they
That's
come
right,
and go.
and that's the key. And that's what I'm saying. People who would buy homes traditionally bought them based on family situation, being close to family, ethnicity, good education, good schools, and because mass transit, if they had it here, and areas that are intangibles. That's why you pick a neighborhood, right? A good neighborhood has certain criteria. Now, how would you describe a good
we
neighborhood?
gotta call it quits. I'm sorry.
Again,
That's
okay.
a quick 10 minutes. I appreciate it very much, Alexis. And thanks, Steve, very much for coming back
Okay.
and helping us out on the panel today. Thanks very much.
Okay.
And I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your voice for the Las Vegas Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.